Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight. This is my third album, third tour, third time's a charm.
Hello and welcome to Griffins Sports Weekly for the week beginning Monday, November 12th, 2007. I'm your host, Corey Weibel, and I will be taking you through all the athletics here at Seton Hill University. This past week was the last week for the fall sports season, with the men's football team falling in their last contest. We will also get to sit down with men's soccer coach Dan McCarty and freshman Anna Cody from the cross-country team. But before we get to head coach Dan McCarty, let's take a look back at the last week in sports. Seton Hill University fell to 3-7 overall, 3-5 in the WIVIAC with a 70-43 loss to West Liberty. The game took nearly 4 hours to play, had 113 points scored, and over 1,300 yards of total offense. 39 penalties highlighted the game, with a bench-clearing brawl happening early in the second half. 5 ejections rose from that brawl, and Seton Hill came out on the short end of the stick on the game also. Seton Hill totaled 509 total yards of offense, but yielded 820 to West Liberty in the loss. West Liberty jumped out to a 19-3 lead before the Griffins would score the next 17 points to take a 20-19 lead. Jeff Jones scored from 35 yards out. Calvin Stevens caught a 56-yard touchdown pass from Matt Daudell, and a Ray Wilkins field goal made the Griffins take the 20-19 lead. West Liberty would then go on to score the next 14 points before Wilkins hit his third field goal to make the score 33-23 at the half. The Griffins opened the second half with a flea flicker from Matt Daudell to Derek Thompson, which covered 54 total yards. That cut the lead to 33-30, and that would be as close as the Griffins would get on the game. Xavier Tranks would end up catching a 65-yard touchdown pass from Daudell, and DeJuan Corbett would score from 3 yards out to wrap up the scoring on the game for the Griffins. Daudell finished the day 10 of 26 for 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, and Antoine Jones rushed for 128 yards. Derek Thompson had 4 catches for 146 yards, and Tranks also added 121 yards through the air. Zach Telkovic finished his Seton Hill career with 17 tackles as Mark Hartz gathered 14 tackles for the Griffins. I would now like to bring in head soccer coach Dan McCarty and take a look back at the Seton Hill men's soccer season. Coach, thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Corey.
The first question I got, ended up the season 6-12-2. What did you think of the year that you guys had?
Obviously, I think we're very disappointed with our season. We have a lot of young guys, and we're close, but we're just not where we should be at this point in time. But we look forward to next season. Guys are working hard already, and we're anxious to get the ball rolling for next season.
I know you guys are young. You guys started 6 freshmen at some points this year. So what kind of factor did that have on the season?
Having some experienced guys out there is critical. This is a high-level game, and the experience factor really weighed heavy on us this year. We did have some key injuries to those guys. Most of the season we had 4 knee injuries, but the experience factor is huge. And losing guys like Daryl Ferguson, Chris Fawcett, Mike Fessett, hard to replace those guys.
Now, what do you think was the biggest surprise of this season?
I actually think midway through the season, when we beat West Virginia Wesleyan, was a good turning point for the season. The guys really kind of picked up their game, got after it a little bit more, played good soccer. So I think just the ability that these guys can show up and play hard and play with guys, that was the turning point of the season for us.
Now, you talked about having guys like Daryl Ferguson and Mike Fessett, Ferguson on the Barbados national team. What does that really say about the program, that you can have guys like that go try out and be respectable and even make some professional teams?
I give all the credit to the guys, really. Those guys really work hard, they train hard, they take soccer seriously. They're total package guys. They get it done in the classroom and on the soccer field. And we just try to fine-tune some of the skills that they bring to us. So I think recruiting those guys is a key factor. Getting them in here and pushing them in the right direction is helpful to those guys. Those guys earned everything they got.
Now, we talked about older guys like that. We mentioned you have a younger team. Where do you see the experience this year translating into the WIVIAC, where next year you could win a conference championship and compete?
I really look forward to next season. I think these guys are somewhat disappointed in how they perform. And I think they really just had to settle in and be themselves and play. So I think they're more comfortable now. They look back on this season with some angst, with some missed opportunities, and I think they're looking forward to it. So I think the learning curve is there. I think they understand what it takes, and I think they'll be well prepared.
Now, you're losing a lot of good players this year: Steve Walker, Butler, Augustine, Weddle, Jaworski. What are those losses going to mean for you next year?
Well, with those guys being older and having the experience that they have, we're going to need guys to step up and become leaders. Stevie's going to be a very difficult guy to replace. Two-time All-Wiviac Player of the Week. So they are going to be missed. But guys just need to understand they need to step up. They have the ability to step up in a leadership role. So that'll be where we'll miss those guys.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for coming on. It was a pleasure. Congratulations on the season, and we'll look forward to seeing you next year.
Thanks a lot, Corey.
Thank you, Coach McCarty, for joining us today, and good luck in the future. Now we will take a look back at all of the fall sports this season, seeing the success and the failure of some of our teams here on campus. We'll start off with Coach McCarty's men's soccer team, finished 6-12-2 on the season, 3-5-1 in the WIVIAC. They were 8th overall in the WIVIAC. During the middle of the season, they hit a stretch of 4-1-1, which brought them almost to the 500 mark, but a 5-game losing streak at the end of the season derailed that possibility. They were 4-3-1 here at Seton Hill University, where Steve Walker had a team-high 20 points, 7 goals, 6 assists, and 2 game-winning goals. He was the WIVIAC Player of the Week 2 times, and he had 4 goals in a 5-1 win over Ohio Valley. Mike Oliver tied Walker for the team lead in goals with 7, and he was second on the team with 15 points. Their highlight win of the season came when they beat WIVIAC champion West Virginia Wesleyan 3-1. Steve Walker and Doug Schmidt also made all WIVIAC second team. Seniors that the Griffins will lose will be Steve Walker, Andrew Butler, Colin Jaworski, Nate Augustine, and Jordan Weddle. Our field hockey team was 8-11 during the season, but not before starting the season 7-3 and ending on an 8-game losing streak before beating Mercyhurst in their final regular season game. Holly Thomas led the team with 20 points, 9 goals, and 2 assists, and also gave the team 3 game-winning goals. Natasha Pedzik was second in the team in goals scored and in points with 7 goals and 16 points. Krista Archambault also recorded 16 goals and 16 points for the Griffins. The Griffins next year will lose Holly Thomas, Melanie Benson, and Meredith Benson, and will look to replace the good leadership that they gave this season.